What's going on, guys? Welcome back to The Commodity. I'm Fez, and today we're taking a look at when the war came to Cowra, C-O-W-R-A. I'm just kind of sounding it out. I'm pretty sure I'm saying it wrong. Odds are I am. If it looks easy, it is completely difficult for Aussies. So now this was suggested in my Discord by Firebrand. Cowra breakout, small country town in New South Wales. Thank you, Firebrand. If you want to suggest a video for me to react to, link to my Discord is going to be right here and down in the description. And also, we are doing a GoFundMe to get me and the family out to Australia, where I can start doing content somewhere in Australia. Obviously, this is kind of, I'm just trying to let everybody know what we're trying to do. Link to that's going to be up here and down there. And I am on all the videos right now from here on out. I'm going to hashtag Qantas. I forgot who suggested it in my comments to see if we could possibly get them to do maybe a small sponsorship, maybe even like a 5% discount, 3% discount, something to help us out a little bit, make the trip a little bit easier on us. Because it is quite expensive. And I even spoke with the ex-wife, and I mentioned, I was like, I can't go on a trip without the boys, and I'm not willing to take the boys without her. And we get along. We're like best friends. And my son literally told me we never go on trips together because I work so much. And I was like, this might be an opportunity to blow his mind. And he'll be on a lot of YouTube videos and stuff like that. He wants to do more reactions, so we're definitely going to do that stuff. And he's starting to get older, so we're going to hopefully build up the channel with him sitting next to me, and I'll find a way to give him like an allowance based off of our views and stuff like that. But let's go ahead and jump into this. It is, again, when the war came to Cowra. So let's check this out. Okay, there we go.
Number 12 Prisoner of War and Internment Group was built at Cowra in 1941. It was no different from any of the other POW camps scattered around Australia. It followed the same dull routine day after day, week after week, year after year. Except one day, something happened there which became part of local and national history. The war came to Cowra. The Cowra breakout on the 5th of August 1944 ended with the deaths of 234 Japanese and 5 Australians, and the destruction of 21 buildings by fire. Why did this happen? The Cowra camp at central New South Wales was officially known as Number 12 Prisoner of War and Internment Group. There were 4 separate compounds. A and C were for Italians, B for Japanese, and D, which was separated into 3 areas, was for Japanese officers, Koreans and Chinese who were part of the Japanese forces, and Italian fascists. The camp commenced operation in June 1941, firstly with Italian civilian internees who were processed and quickly released, and then with Italian prisoners of war from the North African campaigns.
With Muzzo's military gearbox stuck in reverse, thousands of his troops finished their high-speed retreat down the gangplank of a troop ship in Australia.
I'm not smiling because of what's going on. I'm smiling because of the voice. I absolutely love the classic sound I went to school for media and film, and technically it was film, broadcasting, and radio. And hearing that classic tone is just it gives me chills of like amazingness and classic, and it's what you got to respect it for what is now. Now we got these things, and these things are readily available, and the stuff that they did back then was very, very challenging and took a lot of talent. So I smile when I hear those voices and stuff like that. So don't think I'm smiling because of the hardships that these guys are going through.
With Muzzo's military gearbox stuck in reverse, thousands of his troops finish their high-speed retreat down the gangplank of a troopship in Australia. As they head for a Commonwealth internment camp, each man is issued with an army greatcoat dyed red and a tin pannikin. None of the
So these are the prisoners of war? Man, they are being treated extremely well. Holy cow. None of them look like they're stressed or... I mean, I'm sure they are, but... I mean, dang.
Prisoners claims to be fascist. An Italian officer described them as King's men. Okay, King's men.
Yeah, see, they're smiling.
Anyway, they'll have plenty of time behind the barbed wire to think the whole thing over. Maybe they'll discover they belong to the Aussies for the duration.
The Italians were generally well behaved and were put to work cutting wood for fuel and working on local farms. They were well liked around Cowra and would throw small gifts to the local children as they drove out on work parties. Inside their compounds, they grew vegetables, made handcrafts, and even taught local Cowra builders new skills. There were many talented singers and musicians, and they performed plays and Italian operettas. A small but dangerous group of Italian black shirt fascists were kept separately under guard in D compound. An unusual group of Javanese sailors, as well as Indonesian political prisoners and their families, were also interned at Cowra. They were brought to Australia after the Japanese invaded Dutch Indonesia, but were soon released when it was realised that they posed no threat. In 1943, the tide was turning against the Japanese. Australian and US forces pushed them back along the Kokoda Trail, and many prisoners were taken.
Family.
They were starving and suffering from tropical disease, but after capture, they were fed and given the same medical treatment as the Australian troops.
That's so badass.
Jap wounded left to die by their comrades are brought in by Australians out on patrol. These are sidelights from the Owens.
Like now we see them as very, very developed and everything. It was crazy how, I mean, I know it's their culture and everything, but to me, all honesty, I feel like it was very brainwashed in how they had to kill themselves or that they felt so much pride in their country and their belief system that death was the ultimate victory or not letting anybody take you down. And I mean, this shows that was a bad idea because, I mean, they're literally probably being treated better than what they were being treated in Japan at the time. I mean, things have changed drastically now, but back then it was so sad that they were motivated and they were considered cowards and would be killed if they didn't do it themselves. So it's just crazy.
Stanley Mountain area. By driving the Japs out of the gap, down to the plains and back to the sea at Buna, the immediate threat of a battle for Australia was averted. Patrols have to move cautiously because isolated parties of Japanese are still resisting and have to be mopped up. Some of the hardest fighting was experienced here.
They were sent to Brisbane for interrogation and then to Cowra. When they arrived, they were sullen and difficult to manage. They had not been taught how to behave as prisoners of war. In fact, they were greatly ashamed of being taken captive and were looking for a way to regain their honour. This opportunity arose on the 4th of August 1944. Too many Japanese were now being captured, and B compound was dangerously overcrowded.
Wow, yeah.
Militant agitators were stirring up trouble. The Australians decided to move 700 lower-ranking prisoners to another camp at Hay in western New South Wales. The Japanese compound leaders angrily objected and called a meeting with the representatives from each of the 21 accommodation huts in B compound. They decided to rise up and riot, to attack the perimeter and die in battle. Private Alf Rolls was on sentry duty in the middle of Broadway. It was 1:45 a.m. An excited Japanese prisoner ran up to the fence near his post. Alf knew something was about to happen. He fired the 2 required warning shots and ran for his life. Japanese exploded out of their huts with makeshift weapons and headed in 3 directions. 2 groups attacked the northern and eastern compound fences, and another group jumped into Broadway to attack the northern and southern fences. Alf Rolls made it to the southern gate just in time. The security fences were only 6 feet high and had not been increased after a security scare the previous year.
Wow.
Privates Jones and Hardy ran to their machine gun and opened fire, but were soon overwhelmed and killed. Years later, they would each be awarded a posthumous George Cross. After just 20 minutes, over 180 Japanese were dead. Their weapons were removed, and the wounded
That's crazy.
were treated. 300 escaped into the Cowra countryside. It would take 9 days to round them up, and in the process, 2 more Australian soldiers would die. Some Japanese killed themselves, alone in the Australian bush. 2 were shot by a Cowra farmer, but others were given food by Australian families. At the end, 234 Japanese...
The hearts that... Okay, look. I've been reacting to Australia for quite a while now, and the hearts of Australians, I never really focused on it or noticed it. You know, y'all are prideful of your country just like you should be. And I'll admit that I am learning now, more recent than not, obviously, the true attitude and personalities of Aussies. I always knew y'all took it easy, never took everything but in stride, but never knew truly where your hearts were. And I'm learning that right now, whether it's through helping me and my family get to Australia, or in this video, feeding the enemies, helping the enemies, medicating the enemies, and treating them like they should be treated, because not everybody is the country that they're from. I think the Chinese government is terrible, but I don't necessarily think the Chinese people are terrible. I think the Russian government is terrible, but I do not necessarily think the Russian people are terrible. And I think that's the way that Australians look at it. And I think that's fantastic. Sorry for pausing this for so long, but I love this. I love this attitude because it's not bullshit. It's real. And I can see that. And I know that. I love it.
Japanese and 5 Australians were dead. This was the tragedy of the Cowra breakout. This terrible loss of life came about because of a clash of cultures in wartime. With better understanding and discipline, it need not have happened. Since that dark time, Cowra and Japan have worked hard for reconciliation and now have an enduring friendship.
That is awesome.
This came about due to the early efforts of a group of Cowra returned servicemen who cared for the overgrown Japanese graves. As a result, the Japanese government created a new cemetery at Cowra, where the remains of all Japanese who died in Australia during World War II are now interred. A great deal has taken place in Cowra since the war years. The beautiful Japanese Gardens and Cultural Centre was planned and developed by a group of dedicated Cowra citizens and its imagery and design combines traditional Japanese components with the broad Australian landscape.
That's amazing.
The designer Ken Nakajima wanted it to be a place where the souls of the Japanese could find peace, and it has become a physical expression of the bond between Cowra and Japan. Cowra recognises the importance of its history and has respectfully commemorated the Cowra breakout on significant anniversaries, with many Australian and Japanese visitors attending the memorial events. A student exchange with Seikei High School in Tokyo and Cowra High School has been in continuous operation since 1970, together with other high school and cultural exchanges between Cowra and Japan. A festival of international understanding has been held in Cowra for over 50 years. Cowra Council developed a friendship agreement with Joetsu City, Japan, where Australian POWs were held in World War II. In 1992, Australia's World Peace Bell was awarded to Cowra for its work in peace and reconciliation. This presentation is dedicated to all those who have worked for reconciliation.
Look at that. I want to go there. That looks amazing. That is beautiful. Just the maintenance on that is insane.
Between Australia and Japan, and who have succeeded in producing a lasting friendship in the aftermath of tragedy. Such is the legacy of the Cowra breakout.
The winding stream flows on and knows not to what it flows. And on the surface float the fallen leaves of autumn. They, too, are swept on, unknowing.
That was amazing. That was beautiful. That was awesome. That was very awesome. No, I'm being dead serious. I'm not even like beating around. I'm not trying to kiss your ass or fluff you up or make you feel better. But when something's honest and something's true and something is shown, then when you don't have to do anything and nobody will bat an eye at it, but yet you still do something, that's when you know the true heart of somebody, if that makes any sense. Just because I say I want to come to Australia doesn't mean that you should do anything. Just because I want to do something doesn't mean you should do anything. I brought it up. I talked about the flights, and y'all stood up, metaphorically speaking, and said, why don't you find a way so that we can help you out? And to me, that's you doing something that you did not even need to bring up. I could have brought this up and then y'all would just be like, we enjoy your content. Just do it from home. And y'all aren't, that's not what happened. And then same for these people that were your enemies that were trying to kill you and fight you. And instead of showing disdain or hatred, especially during that time period, that was a real thing for just people of different groups of minorities or different groups of people in general, whether it was happening here in the States or over in the UK or anywhere else in the world. Y'all opened the doors and fed the soldiers and clothed the soldiers and gave them medicine. And that, to me, I see where that's coming from. It's insane. And again, I am not just saying this to make you feel better. Yes, it might make you feel better, but that's not my intentions. So from the bottom of my heart, being a foreigner that wants to come and visit, thank you. Thank you for being that type of person. Thank you for giving a fuck about somebody else besides yourself, because that's not how it is right now here. We are so driven and divided in our country right now, and it sucks. It sucks so much. People live as if their beliefs in their politics are who they are. My politics aren't who I am. I vote based off of my belief system. However, that's not my personality. My personality is completely different than what a politic is. That's idealism. But who you are isn't idealism, it's action. And seeing what y'all do when catastrophes and negative things happen, like the typhoon. She didn't cry for herself. She cried for Darwin. So, it's just crazy. I love my country. I love my state. But we're not where we used to be. We're so divided because of certain people. And we need to get back to where we were so we could show you that we are not shitty people. I don't know why I'm going into this tangent, but it's just, I'm starting to see the whole picture. Does that make sense? I'm starting to see the painting. At first I saw this painting that was this big, but it's the size of a building. And I'm starting to see the rest of it. And I'm loving what I'm seeing. So guys, if you are still watching to this point, you are nuts for listening to me ramble on, but I feel like it feels right saying these things. So for the people that are watching, I know you already did. If you're still watching, you already hit the like button. You already hit the subscribe button. You probably did that a long time ago. But for this channel to grow and for me to be able to do the things that we want to do, which is how I feel right now, how I feel that y'all feel as well, the like buttons are going to get this video out and going to make it more plausible and more capable of happening. So with that being said, until next time, peace.